You know what I mean? Okay.
You wouldn't believe Belle Isle now. Belle Isle is, it's not 80,000. That same would be 300,000.
Yeah, I know. We could have become very rich if we would have.
What
But
when you
anyway.
lived in what was the first house you lived in that had electricity in the house? Was that in Cuba? That had electricity?
Where?
We had electricity all over.
In Europe still.
It's still in European. When it came electricity, it came all over in all the countries. I remember when electricity came. I must have been a child, maybe 4 years old.
Yeah.
And the city came with everything. Boy, is that a beautiful feeling.
Yeah.
But anyhow, we made money in Florida. We sold it for 85,000. Then we bought this condo, you know, and we made money on this condo too. And we sold it. And your father wasn't bad off, you know, he needed money. So your Uncle David said, Mother, you have $35,000. Give it to Freddie. He needs it. And he'll give you we didn't have what to leave. You cannot leave from Social Security. So we gave it to your dad. And your dad gave us a little money every month. Then it wasn't sad. Then it wasn't good. I said, Freddie, you don't have to give us any more. He gave us enough. So that's the story. And I hope to God your father and your mother should be well and use everything in the best of health got in you. And they should be healthy and happy. And that's the way it is.
Oh, they will. They
And of
will.
course now you can know on it. The store is maybe $1 million. You know. The store makes can earn it very good now. Thank goodness. But your father was suffering very much. They didn't make a living for a long time.
I know. You know, I was curious. We were just talking about electricity. What do you remember the first car that you saw? Because you were talking that you
The first
were by horse and
car?
buggy, the first motor
Oh,
car.
In Europe you didn't have a car. In Europe you had horse and buggies.
Right.
And you had, what was it, Albert? It wasn't a car, but it was like this.
Phaeton.
No, that's with horse and buggy.
Yeah.
Phaeton is horse. But we did have it with electricity. Some streetcars, I haven't seen it till I came to Cuba.
Streetcars.
Streetcars.
Gas-powered streetcars.
No,
Oh, streetcars.
electricity
Right.
by the street. Don't you remember that? Is it for your time?
No, I know though. I know.
Okay, the electricity, the streetcars went like that. When I went to work, I went with 3 streetcars to work. I told you 5 cents and 2 cents a and my mother used to stay by the door because
Yeah.
it was dark yet when I went to work, and I am afraid. So she used to stay by the door till I went up on the streetcar, and she used to tell, hey dear, hey dear, hey dear, till I went up on the streetcar and say, okay, Mama. So she went in.
What was the first automobile you owned that you had for yourselves?
We didn't own we didn't own an automobile till my doodle was
The first one was 44, I think. That was the
no.
first.
When we moved on Cherry Lawn,
Yeah.
we got the first car.
Yeah.
So wait a second.
What kind of car was it?
It was on my name.
Plymouth.
It was my car.
Plymouth. Was that Plymouth, the first one?
So what? So David was 12 years old,
Freddie was 8.
and Freddie was 8. Freddie was 8. So it's Freddie was born in 1940. So it's 48. That's what you got. We got our first car in 1948, and we were waiting for it. Maybe a year or 2. How long were we waiting? You couldn't get a car then. So that was our first car, and we were rich then.
When you had your own car, you were rich.
And I tell you something else. Then, I don't know how to drive. Then, they have the 2 wheels, you know, the 2 they teach you to drive. And you have the instructor sit with the wheel and you...
But what really happens when a child hasn't got nothing and the parents cannot help him? What would my father do, you know, if we couldn't help him?
So you learned how to drive After you already had a car.
Right.
He had a car and he couldn't drive, no.
Then I had a man come in and I paid before for 8 lessons. 8 lessons. And I took 7 lessons. Didn't know nothing. Nothing. This was Friday night, the 7th lesson.
Yeah.
Saturday night supposed to be my 8th lesson. Saturday morning, I mean. And I got up, and all night I was laying and shifting the gears.
I'm going to put up some water for tea and we'll have some ice cream.
Make me very nervous to see it.
What
Then-
ice cream do you want?
I don't want any ice cream.
Ida, he's smarter than you, believe me.
So you were up sweating for the lesson. Your driver's lesson. You're on the last lesson.
Yeah, then in the last lesson, I get up the Saturday morning, early in the morning, by 8 o'clock.
And he doesn't tell me it goes with the car.
And I went in the car, and I started up the car, and I was driving the car and coming to the store. And I just as a driving permit, I didn't have my license yet.
Yeah.
See. I come to the store, and I called up to your Bubby and say, guess where I am? In the store. How do you got there? I drove there. And that's it. And that day I was driving, and I didn't have no trouble.
What was the first television when you first got your television?
We got the television the same year,
Same year?
1948.
I think it was...
1948, Albert.
Yeah,
We got it in Cherrylon.
RCA,
I remember it. We had a beautiful home in Cherrylon. You remember our home in Cherrylon?
No?
Ida, how long ago?
Oh
you,
my gosh.
He was not born yet.
No, I know it. I forget.
You think you're talking to
You're
old
gonna
man,
have
talking
tea.
with a little
You're
boy.
gonna have tea. Of course, my Framer was only 8 years old. His father was only 8 years old.
8 years old. You had no
Oh,
children that time
Your
yet.
father, when your father was born, all the nurses came running to see him. He was such a handsome little fellow. He was so wonderful.
Such a
And
dumb...
your father, you say, but he was no fighter. And we lived on Wager, and across from us, with the little boy, your father's age. So he beat up my Freumler. So Freumler came into the house, said, Mama, I forget what the little boy's name. Beat me,
Rabbi Mendelssohn.
beat me. I said, Freumler, you go out to that, and before that Rabbi picks up his hand, you pick up your hand before and give him a knock.
Yeah, that could teach him.
And I taught my sons to be strong. You know, if my friend David, he was such a good boy, you know, if he won something, he cried, you know.
Who did?
David.
David.
So I wanted him to think the tea. The tea got it on his own. You know what so I let him cry a little bit. You understand what I'm telling you?
Right. So that's what he was earning it. He was crying.
Sure, that's him. And then I could,
You in the battle.
That's funny.
I love my son so much. It's such a pleasure to have
Take some
children.
ice, take a glass.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
it's such a pleasure to have children. There is no other pleasure on earth better than having children.
What was your favorite memory in Cuba when you're in Cuba? Your favorite story that you look back and you think was one of your favorite times?
Okay, I'll tell you. My first love
Yeah.
was in Cuba.
Yeah.
I worked for that fella from Israel. And there worked 3 boys. One boy was Shimon, a tall fella, good looking like a god.
Like a who?
Like a god.
Like a god.
A god is not good looking. He's just an air.
But you say a god.
Yeah.
Then worked another boy, Shimon, a youngster. He came with us to Cuba. His mother asked us to keep an eye on him. He was our roomer, by the way. Yes, Shimon was our roomer? Okay. Another
I'm a
boy.
bit sad.
And Shimon must have been my age, you know, 15 years old. Then
Still your
what?
age, 39.
What?
It's still your age.
Yeah. I hope he's alive and happy continue. And another fella, I don't remember his name already, also single fella. But that Shimon, anything he did for me, and I, a youngster, 15 years old, I loved that Shimon so much. You know, there were 3 boys. I used to come to their room and straighten up the room. Nowadays, people would think, my God, what kind of woman, what kind of girl is that? You know,
You used to go
They
clean
would-
the room.
they would think anything. But at that time, wasn't like that. That time, a boy wouldn't dare touching a girl. You know what I mean? Wouldn't dare touching a girl. Or more than maybe.
Hey, I think he got enough for his money, but what's the matter? Stop
No,
it.
no, I love that. That's a great story. And how about you? What was your favorite story when you were in Cuba?
Oh, so I like that boy.
So you like
Yeah.
him, yeah.
So wait,
I like-
let me finish you.
We have to
That
finish the
boy-
story.
That boy was married. Why was he married? He must have been 17 or 18, and he was a linker against the government. So at that time,
Communist.
yeah, communist. That time they used to be communist. So they were looking for him. So he didn't have a penny to go anywhere. So his parents got him a girl, and she gave him the money. He married her, and she gave him the money to run away. He never seen he never touched the girl. He ran away. So he told me that he married that girl but never touched her or anything. So I said, Shimon, I am a person which I wouldn't build my happiness on anyone's unhappiness. She gave you the money. I don't care what, but she gave you the money. There wasn't love in it. You didn't love her. She didn't love you. She doesn't even know you. But you honored to her. You honored to her to bring her over to Cuba. And then when you bring her over to Cuba, if you don't like each other, then you see what you want to do with each other. But you have responsibilities to this girl. So help me God, continue. And I loved her. I told him I couldn't do anything on anybody's. So that's the way it was, and that Yosuke loved me like anything, you know. But
How about you? What was your first love?
he didn't
Oh.
do, he,
I had a first love.
he
Who was your
didn't-
first love?
He didn't start writing to me till after.
Maybe you weren't his first love.
think
I don't
did.
know.
I did have one first love.
Who was that?
Well, I did.
Ida.
Yeah, he loved me very much. How do I tell you how your father loves? Oh yeah, let me tell you something. When I went with him and I promised to marry him and everything, and I told him, you know, I'm a very honest person. Ask your father, he'll tell you. Albert, am I honest with you or not? I told him, Albert, you should know, I don't love you. I don't love anybody. But if I marry you and we stay together a year and we are together and we don't get divorced after that year, we stay for life. Did I say that or
Yes,
not?
dear. Yes, dear.
That's me.
Yeah.
And we got married and
And we
all
stayed
my
2 years and that's
all
it,
my
and we got
children
divorced.
and my grandchildren
Yeah.
should have a life like Zaide and I. We have a good life, you know, honest life. Not a like a you know what I mean? A real sincere life. You know, I always helped Zaide with everything I could. You know, and used to go to the store and then running home to give David and Freddie supper and running back to the store
Yeah.
to stay till 9 o'clock.
Yeah, we had well off, well off.
You know that are off, but honest and good. And for my sons, they never knew we were poor. There isn't a thing my sons would want that I would say you cannot have it,
You know,
or you cannot afford it. Never. Ask your father. Never did I say anything that I haven't got it or we cannot afford it. For my sons, everything we could afford.
well, some of them don't like it. Your son David didn't like it.
That's the way we are. He's a father. He can live this life the way he wants.
That was wonderful. I really enjoyed
Now,
spending
shall
the
I
day.
tell you a little bit life from my mother and father?
What about
I'll tell you a story from my mother and father. I believe.
You put up some water.
Important. Give me a cup of tea, in a cup of tea, and you a cup of tea.
Ian cut it up there. Oh,
Tell me the story of your mother and your father.
Yeah, I tell you, this is what I first remember my parents' life.
I remember you used to tell me your father used to beat up your mother and your
Oh,
mother beat
yeah.
up your father.
My father loved my mother so much. And he loved his children. He was such a loving father. My children are fathers like that. David and
So you tell me the story of your
Okay.
mother and father.
that's when I first remember my father. We bought a new home.
Okay.
My first memory of my parents' home. They bought a new home. And with a new home. And it has living quarters for the family. And in the back is an apartment for help. Because we had help. My mother was a very pampered lady. She had asthma, so she thought it's very sick. So she used to go away for all summer. When she went away for the summer, we were 7 children. So we had a maid always in the house to help my mother in the kitchen.
You're talking to rich people.
And we had a woman who done the cooking when my mother went away, which we called her Tante. She was no relative. Then my mother's sister, which her husband was in America, so she used to come for the summer to supervise us, all of them. My mother's sister. Then we had a Gentile lady who came to do the laundry and the ironing. I don't know how often, every 2 weeks for her. But I remember those things in the house, you know. And my brothers used to go to school.
Still in Poland.
No, we never lived in Poland. Russia. I told you we never lived in Poland. We're not Polish.
Don't forget your toilet. Don't you forget.
Okay. So, and we had a Polish lady. My mother went away for the whole summer to Slavita. Slavita, did I tell you Slavita?
Yeah.
Okay, to Slavita. And I used to go to a private school. Gymnasia it used to call.
Gymnasia.
5 years old till probably about 8 or so, till the fire, till 1990. Yeah, 1990 was the fire in our city. And that's the home I remember by my parents. And I remember having a girlfriend, which, of course, my 2 sisters were like my shadows. They ran after me, Marley and Annette, all the time. And I used to have a girlfriend, Pupa. Her name was Pupa. Do I say it correct?
Yeah. You tell me.
And
You
Pupa
lied,
was always with me.
You lied. Okay, then.
Pupa was always with me. In Europe, there is no toilet in the house. But the toilet is outside in the house.
No
And-
toilet outside because
There is no water.
Right, running water.
I don't know how it used to be. And every week or so, they used to clean it. Come and clean it. Such a thing. Well, that girlfriend, Pupa, she used to go with my little lover. She didn't trust me to go to the toilet. So I went to the toilet and appeared as a floor. So it was a piece of wood appeared. And she stand at the piece of wood and there goes Pupa. Wow.
Into the...
Into the
she
toilet.
really fall in there.
So help me God.
Oh my God.
There goes Pupa. Wow. I don't know what happened. People came, you know. They took a Pupa, they gave her a soapy bed and alcohol in the bed. And from then, Pupa didn't go with me to the toilet. But Poopa never told me to go notice him.
That's a funny story.
I remember that just like today. Oh, yeah, and after that, who came in after that?
Ida,
The German people came after that.
Ida, you talk too much, Ida. I hope the God you're not going to get sick. Don't talk too much. Here's a
But that's
cow.
another one.
Okay, we'll end it on that. We'll end it on that.
Eh?
That'll be it.
Because you talk too much, you just think, I see you talking already.
Then I got married and I had 2 sons. 2 wonderful.
The 2 sons. Don't tell nobody you got 2 sons.
Wonderful.
2 rotten sons.
Oh, there is no better sons under the earth and whole
Ah.
world.
Because you don't met so you're good
Oh,
ones.